Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about barbell training and specifically about the pros and cons of barbell training for someone with more like a hybrid mindset. So someone who is interested in building and maintaining all around strength and conditioning. Now, I'm a 90s kid, and when I was starting to get interested in training in the 2000s, the barbell was just beginning its rise to the popularity it enjoys today. The younger people probably don't know, but in the early 2000s, it was quite rare to see people doing barbell compound lifts in a commercial gym. The squat rack was usually empty, or people would curl in it, which was so common that curling in the squat rack became an actual meme. Now, all of that would change due to a variety of factors, but two of the most significant were the explosion of the popularity of CrossFit, which brought about a renaissance of Olympic weightlifting and a viral global exchange of training knowledge via this new thing called the internet, which allowed millions of young lifters to educate themselves about the effectiveness of proper barbell training. The relative mainstream popularity of powerlifting, which was an absolute fringe sport 30 years ago, is a direct result of that. Now, growing up during that time, I swallowed the barbell propaganda, hook, line, and sinker. And in some ways, I'm glad I did. Let's look at the arguments for barbell training one by one and kind of do a fact check on each of them. So the first argument number one for barbell training: the barbell is the best tool for building raw strength. This is very simple. As humans, we have a couple of fundamental movement patterns we usually need to express strength in, like squat, hinge, press, etc. And the barbell is the easiest way to load those. And it gives you the ability to do so incrementally, ensuring progressive overload. And I'd say that's easy to fact check. That's true. The barbell is the easiest way to build strength, and that strength carries over even when you aren't lifting a barbell. All it takes is one look at the strongest humans on earth, professional strongmen. Those guys can pick up and press anything. Axles, sandbags, logs, and all of them use the barbell as the foundation of the strength training. Obviously, you need the unconventional stuff as well to fill in the gaps, quote unquote, but barbell training is non-negotiable if you want to become as strong as possible, and the sport of strongman proves that. Now, argument number two for barbell training is that strength training is going to make you more powerful. And the reason is that the fast twitch muscle fibers responsible for maximal strength are the same ones responsible for explosive movement. And that makes intuitive sense, because if you can lift a heavier load, you can lift a lighter load faster. And there is a lot of truth to this, however, it has been taken too far. For a long time, strength and conditioning coaches recommended working up to a double body weight squat before starting training plyometrics. And characters like Mark Rippetoe claimed plyometrics are even useless because jumping ability, according to him, is essentially entirely genetically determined. And obviously I strongly disagree with those stances. I believe both jumping and barbell training should be incorporated into a developmental program right from the beginning. And like I said, there is a lot of truth to this. Strength training does carry over to power, but it doesn't replace jumping, sprinting, etc. To really develop power, you need to train across the so-called strength speed continuum. Just doing barbell squats a la Rippetoe is one-dimensional and is going to lead to less than ideal results. You need to build the neural drive, elasticity, and coordination to express power effectively. So we can say the claim that barbell training increases power is true, with the caveat that it is used in conjunction with other training methods like plyometrics, etc. Argument number three: strength training indirectly builds endurance. Now this is where we get into the realm of confirmation bias and propaganda, because the argument goes something like this: if you are stronger, a lighter load is going to be easier to move repeatedly. This is true to some extent. If your max bench is 405, it stands to reason that you could bench 225 for more reps than the guy whose bench is 315. However, while this type of carryover does exist, it really only works for very short bursts of activity, let's say up to a minute. And the reason is that after 1 minute, other energy systems become increasingly important, and your maximum strength is going to have almost zero carryover. To give you a practical example, earlier this year I did 100 squats with 60 kilograms in less than 5 minutes, and my maximum back squat at the time was maybe 160 kilograms on a good day. And no doubt are there thousands of men who are way stronger than me in terms of maximum strength, but they couldn't repeat the 100 rep squat set because they simply don't have the required endurance. Now, when you have people like Rippetoe claim that the military should do starting strength instead of running, and yeah, that's when we get into mentally handicapped la la land, because there is some carryover from strength training even to long distance running via improved running economy, but it's very limited and a tiny piece of the puzzle. To build endurance, you have to train endurance, you have to train your cardiovascular system and the various energy systems. So we can say that claim is mostly false. There is some carryover from strength to endurance, but it's very limited. So to sum up the arguments for barbell training, I agree with most of them. It builds raw strength better than anything. It builds power when used as part of a broader training program, and it can play a supportive role in endurance training, although not replace it whatsoever. Now let's look at some of the arguments against barbell training, and there are a couple. Number one is diminishing returns. This simply means that after a certain point, you need to put in disproportionately more work for marginal improvements. So my best deadlift, for example, was 230 kilograms or 507 pounds. And the last couple of years, my projected max is around 180 to 200 kilograms for the most part. And that's depending on what I'm working at any given moment. Now, to get from 200 back to 230 kilograms or even beyond would take such an insane amount of specialized work that I'd have to cut back on my other work and lose cardiovascular fitness, muscular endurance, etc. And all for what? For like 20 kilograms on my deadlift? What actual difference is that going to make in real life? So this is why I recently defined strength standards that I want to hit year after year, and they are high but not so absurdly high that they demand extreme specialization. And those standards are like a body weight strict press, 2.5 times body weight conventional deadlift, and those aren't universal. Those are just my personal goals. So the point is that at some point you're strong enough and you're going to find areas where the return on investment is much better than just increasing your strength more and more. So diminishing returns, we can say, is a very real thing, because you have to understand that everything comes with a price tag. It's like a video game's character, where you have a certain amount of points to allocate to different abilities, and if you spend all your points on strength, your character will be lacking in other areas. Which brings us to the next point, and that is stiffness. This is where things get interesting, because people can talk all day about, oh, if you do the compound lifts with a full range of motion, you're not going to get stiff. But the thing is, lifting obscene amounts of weight demands stiffness, so becoming more stiff is a favorable adaptation for getting stronger. And specifically when it comes to the spine, becoming very strong requires the ability to stabilize against forces. That's what we also call bracing. Now, this is a crucial skill to develop, but when you get stuck in that posture, it can become a problem. So you lose the ability to flex, extend, rotate your spine, and you turn into a tin man basically. And it has happened to me before. And that's one of the problems I have with hardstyle kettlebell training, is the overemphasis on tension and bracing. So you see guys power breathing to swing a little 16 kg kettlebell, and as a result, almost always they look stiff when they try to actually move and do anything athletic. And the solution is to keep training rotational patterns, and stay fluid and use proportionate tension. So brace only when you need to. Now, the third negative of barbell training is the potential for injury. And there is a lot of truth to that. Just this year alone, I've seen a groin tear, a pec tear, just from the people I follow on Instagram. And I don't even follow a lot of barbell lifters. So it's just muscle and tendon tears are extremely common in powerlifting. It's just the reality of it. And it's obvious that when you load your movement patterns with the absolute heaviest loads you can manage, that there is going to be some potential for injury, but it's a risk you can mitigate by being smart with your load management, managing your fatigue, staying away from drugs. So I think the ROI, or better to say the risk reward ratio, is still positive when it comes to barbell lifting. So, simple message, in my opinion, when you weigh the pros and cons, my final verdict is that neither barbell minimalists like Rippetoe nor the barbell deniers like the functional pattern guys make a convincing case. Barbell is just a tool, it's not the end all be all, it's also not the root of all evil, it's just a tool in the toolbox designed to build strength, and it does so extremely effectively. So when you want to build strength, use it. When you want to build other stuff, use something else. And that's why I keep using the barbell in my programming, even though I have a maybe a little bit different approach than most people, and it's been working very well for me. All right, guys, take care. See you next time. Kettlebell aerobics never outworked.